My name is Rashelle, and I was inspired and convicted by reading the book Shut the Hell Up. My first thought was, this is going to be good. Probably because, this is coming from a pastor who obviously is a pastor of a Christian church, and he's using the word hell in his title. But knowing him as I have, I knew that he was going to just pour out so much truth about what the word hell means, to lay out that foundation, to dispel that lie that people probably have in their head. And then he was going to take us in, and I was excited about it when I first heard it. The thing that in this process that surprised me while reading the book was how challenging it would be for me, particularly as we got into the meat in the middle and towards the end of the book, because it's really a call to confront where you really are. And that was challenging for me, realizing that I was about what I really believed and what I didn't really believe. So that was very challenging for me, but I've learned to embrace that challenge as, okay, that's an area where I need to grow in. So I hope that doesn't hinder anybody from reading the book, because it's the point where he calls us. He meets us where we are and takes us from there. So I'm grateful for reading the book. But it was challenging when I went through it, for sure. As a result of reading the book, I do believe that I have grown. And the first place, I would say, is being okay with where I am, to the degree that God actually knows where I am, and not trying to hide that, because so much of when you go from a performance-based household, you're not trying to really show where you really are. You're just trying to perform to try to get somewhere, and even if you're not there yet, you fake it till you make it, which is, unfortunately, gets exposed at some point. So first, acknowledging where I really am, and then taking that step to grow from there, challenging those voices that are mostly, for me, internal, and doing something different with it. So I have grown from reading the book. The internal voices I've discovered for myself in the process of reading this book are basically lies that have been, that I have basically adapted as my own. And they might have come from persons in my upbringing. They might have come from others, but those people aren't in my life telling me those voices now. I'm telling me those voices, myself those voices. And so I am recognizing voices like, you're not good enough, or you keep messing up, or you're going to get it wrong. Those are voices that I have struggled with, and I'm learning to shut them up, because they are coming from a place of hell. They are not filled with life and truth. So those are some of my voices I'm struggling with. Not struggling with, coming to a place of truth with. The experience of reading this book has helped me shut the hell up in my life, and certainly, at least to begin to, is at least recognizing that there's a voice going on, and that I don't have to live with that voice. One of the points in this book, one of the statements that I thought was hugely powerful, is that the voices provide choices. And I, at least now recognizing that it's a voice I don't have to live with, now I have a choice if I'm going to continue to live with it or not. I can actually be in a place of freedom from that voice. And so that was one of many places where the voice helped me to shut the hell up. Some of the book helped me to shut some of those voices up. Yes, well, it was pretty much a shortened screen from a picture, a diagram he has on one of his pages in chapter 7 about how God takes us through this process. And to be clear, it's God taking us through this process. But he lays out how God confronts us, he then challenges us, then convicts us, and convinces us. God calls us, God commits us, and then we change. And what was so key for me in all of that is that except for that last one, it's God that's doing all of those things. So, and he spells through in detail in chapter 7, but that essential diagram spells out what I thought was hugely impactful in the book, as God meets you where you are and takes you through that process. If you're open to it, there's no excuse towards shutting the hell up. This actually was from page 9, early in the book, where the author writes, "Hell is at war with everyone positioned to reveal God's glory. The enemy's most sophisticated method of warfare is to attack Christians through flaming missiles launched against one's mind. These hell-born projectiles are intended to produce warped worldviews, erect walls that keep us from receiving God's liberating truth, and activate unstable thoughts, emotions, and impulsive behaviors within us. Therefore, any child of God who desires to overcome the obstacles that have been wickedly and maliciously launched against them must first reconcile that, though unseen, there does exist a severe, unrelenting spiritual attack against them, and number 2, determine that they are going to use their faith to shut down hell's influence in their life." And that passage was huge for me because from the Bible it says we were all created for God's glory. And so that means anyone, even if they know it or not, has the opportunity to go through this process and change and shut the hell up so that we can all live for God's glory. And I thought it was also key because this, in a sense, gave me a place where I can direct my faith towards. It doesn't have to be, I just believe in this, I'm a believe in God, I have faith. But no, I'm going to direct it because I believe in the God who he says he is, and that he can help me shut the hell up, that he can help me be transformed for his glory, which is why we're all created. The author makes a claim that if you read this book, that you will be changed, and that is an accurate statement. I think a lot of us don't realize that we are all hearing voices. I work particularly in mental health where it's considered a disease or a condition if you're hearing voices, but that's one end of hearing voices. All of us are hearing voices, most of it internal. Maybe it's your conscious, your subconscious, what have you, is your thoughts, but we're all hearing voices, and then it will change you once you recognize you don't have to live with that. You don't have to stay there, and I think that that's the place of freedom that you can at least start from, to realize, yes, it will change you. How far you go in that change is up to you because it is a choice. Voices provide choices, and you have a choice. And I think that in itself is a place of freedom. The fact that you have a choice, because I hear that so much in the work that I do, I didn't have a choice. And that's a lie from the pit of hell. It needs to also be shut up. I believe this book is for everyone, absolutely everyone, from the atheist all the way to the mature kingdom disciple. The book will meet you where you are because God will meet you where you are. And the author goes through and you can see yourself anywhere you are. Anywhere you are, you could find yourself in the book. And God has a process, as the author lays out, from where we are to get us to that next level. And so I believe the book is for everyone. And unfortunately, not everybody knows that this book is for them. So my heart's desire is that for those who have read the book, we'll be bold about sharing it and live it out so that they can ask, where are you getting that from? How are you living in such freedom? Because it's absolutely for everybody. I believe this book would be hugely impactful for book clubs and Bible studies and groups because oftentimes iron sharpens iron, and especially if it's somebody you are open to hear from, they may be able to hear patterns of voices that they have heard from you in your life and can maybe gently share those in love with you because sometimes we don't recognize it. I mean, it is important for us to recognize it in ourselves, but in book clubs, we have an opportunity to challenge one another to grow from where we are. And so it's a great book not only to help others to recognize it within themselves, where these voices are coming from, but also to challenge one another, to hold one another accountable for the truth that they are hearing as they're reading the book, to grow up higher. I believe this book is one that points people up. Maybe going back to the title, the author, I've known him for some time. I don't believe he's one that uses a word flippantly or just to get attention. He's pointing it out because there are places that are within us that we don't recognize. We all have an opportunity to grow up higher in. And if you believe you're there already, if you believe that you don't have any further room to grow, that's another story that probably needs to be dealt with. But the point is that the author in his writing and in his sharing of truth, it's an opportunity to, from wherever you are, to grow up from there. And there's absolutely nothing in there that is not consistent with the Word of God. So it's pointing up in a sense of pointing to truth. There's no question about that in the book. If you're on the fence and considering whether or not you should hit the button and purchase this book or to receive it and reserve a copy of it, you should definitely move forward. Act today, act now, because this book is such an opportunity for you to grow up higher, no matter where you are, no matter what you are dealing with. We are all dealing with voices that are destabilizing us whether we know it or not. We're all dealing with voices that are not aligned with truth, and we have an opportunity, we have a choice to grow from there, to grow up higher, to be free. And if that is what you're looking for, which I don't know anybody who isn't, if that's what you're looking for, you should get this book, hands down.